Hey everyone, welcome back to another Energon Universe discussion video. This time, we're taking a look at Transformers number 7, which kicks off a brand new arc with a brand new artist. We'll get to the art later, but first I want to touch on some general impressions from this issue. As you might expect after all the breakneck action from issue 6, issue 7 pulls back somewhat to check in with our cast of characters and usher in some changes to the status quo. The Autobots finally seem to be gaining ground in their ongoing conflict with the Decepticons, a satisfying turn of events after our heroes spent the first 6 issues continuously finding themselves at a disadvantage. Though they've reclaimed the arc, the Autobots still have a bit of a bumpy road ahead of them as Skywarp, who seems to still be alive to some degree, is locking them out of full access to Teletran 1's capabilities. Wheeljack is on the case, but nevertheless, the Autobots still find themselves at less than ideal operating conditions, with the whole process of reviving and repairing the rest of the crew being considerably slowed down. Still, despite the setback, it feels to me like the Autobots are in a much better position than they were throughout the first 6 issues, so it's nice to see some forward momentum there. There are major changes afoot on the Decepticon side of things as well, with Soundwave finally stepping up and challenging Starscream for leadership of the Decepticons. Starscream gets completely wrecked in this fight, with Soundwave giving him a thorough beatdown before pulling a Kano, tearing out some part of him that seems important. Not sure if it's Starscream's spark or what, but the Seeker just tumbles into the lava below.
Soundwave wins. Fatality.
I have mixed feelings about adding Starscream to the running body count total. I feel like there's a chance he's still alive, but I don't know, it's not looking good. I'm still counting him, but the rules for what constitutes a fatal injury for Transformers being so vague makes it difficult to say with certainty, especially as we possibly got a hint at the end of this issue that Jetfire isn't as dead as we thought. Either that or Optimus' plan for aerial reconnaissances to convert Jetfire into some kind of macabre corpse drone. In any case, I'm happy to see Soundwave taking charge, as Starscream's short-lived reign was a disaster. It's a good thing that the Autobots have more of a foothold now, because I think they're going to need it, as Soundwave does not seem to be messing around. There are some interesting developments here with the human element as well. We see a naval ship being directed to the coast of Washington to investigate robot-related activity, and I can't help but wonder if this is for new or previously seen characters. The big thing that's got me wondering is one of the alternate covers for issue number 8, which shows Astrotrain. Regardless, it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. Remember, Duke number 1 jumps ahead 6 months, and the existence of Cybertronians isn't widespread knowledge yet at that point, something that seems impossible after the multiple battles at Farmingham in an age of smartphones, which have been shown to exist in Duke, so the government cover-up may be even bigger than Duke thought. We'll just have to see. But there's also the stuff with Spike. Obviously, the big twist here is that in merging with the Matrix, Sparky's consciousness seems to still be in there and his memories are bleeding into Optimus Prime. In previous videos, I've mentioned how these sorts of choices are going to be what makes this series unique compared to other iterations, so I'm happy to see these little touches getting stranger, and I'm certainly curious as to where this might lead. And right before this surprising moment, we get a nice, although brief, segment where Optimus and Ratchet deliver the news of Sparky's death to Spike, and I really like how this is handled, with Spike just sort of staring off into the sunset. Johnson is doing a great job of making the grief in this series feel authentic and effective without letting these emotionally devastating events bog down the series or turn it into too much of a downer. The result is that these moments feel impactful but appropriate to the series. We also get this interaction between RC and Carly, which marks a rift in one of my favorite in-universe friendships to form in the Energon universe so far, as apparently Carly isn't speaking to Cliffjumper due to his decision to spare Starscream last issue, so the stage is set for a bit of character drama, and in the meantime, we see how Carly is descending further and further into her quest for revenge, which, if Starscream is really and truly dead by Soundwave's hand, I wonder how that'll hit her. RC recognizes something of herself in Carly, as we learn in this beautifully textured flashback that RC's clan were all killed during an event called the Siege on Cybertron. RC was rescued and ultimately trained by none other than Ultra Magnus. However, RC's need for vengeance consumed her, and although we don't get specifics, she blames herself and her actions for getting Ultra Magnus killed. It's nice getting to see Ultra Magnus in the Energon universe, even if it is just for one page, and in the past tense, setting up that he's deceased, but that brings me to the opening pages of the issue, which are set on Cybertron. Although the exact timing isn't clear, we finally get a better sense of the war on Cybertron, with Elita One, Cup, Huffer, and Warpath storming a Shockwave vanity fortress. Anyway, Elita's crew is on a rescue mission for an Autobot that is not identified in the dialogue and is unrecognizable due to being taken apart so extensively, but there's a good chance this is Ultra Magnus. I think this is sort of like that trope that I mentioned in the video for Void Rivals number 8, where a previously unseen character is suddenly and casually brought up as a way of foreshadowing their involvement in the immediately unfolding plot. Admittedly, this part kind of plays with that trope a little by showing us the character first while leaving his identity a mystery, but I think it's pretty much the same thing. I assume Magnus is still alive and just being experimented on by Shockwave or something, but I guess we'll see. Overall, this was an exciting and welcome sequence, as the state of Cybertron has mostly been a mystery, aside from a few brief glimpses. This also explains the alternate cover for issue number 9, which shows Shockwave holding Cup's head, as we now know that Elita One is the sole survivor of the team. Bad news for Cup, Huffer, and Warpath fans, and I get it. Personally, I would have liked to have seen more with Huffer and Cup, as I've always liked both of them, but what are you gonna do? Most of the Decepticons in this segment are off-panel, unfortunately, so it's tough to say for sure who's attacking the Autobots here, but this guy seems pretty likely to be Brawl, based on the tank cannon and treads on his arms, so that does make me wonder if these other guys are more of the Combaticons. Possibly, I don't know. Something else that's noteworthy here is that Cup exclaims, "Spark-damned Decepticons," which is, as far as I know, the first appearance of a new Transformers swear, and one that makes sense considering the Energon universe seems to be drawing heavily from the G1 cartoon, where Primus, the deity from the comics, did not exist. Anyway, this part on Cybertron seems to be setting up a thread that will play out in the coming issues, or at least I hope so, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Things are escalating, and the scope of the Energon universe is getting bigger and more populated. I love to see it. This sequence, like the rest of the issue, just looks phenomenal. I have to admit, when it was first revealed that Daniel Warren Johnson would be shifting over to just covering the writing for the second arc, I was a little disappointed. But after I saw the preview for this issue, I was very intrigued. Jorge Corona's art is a fantastic fit for this series. His Transformers characters, in some ways, like the expressions on some of the characters' faces or how the violence is rendered, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of the art from the Marvel US and UK runs, which is a really good thing as far as I'm concerned, though I wouldn't say it's stuck in the past by any means. His humans are rendered in what I would consider to be a very modern style, and there are elements of modern Transformers artists in Corona's work as well, like Johnson's particular style, which makes the transition easier, and even a dash of Nick Roach at times, mainly in the way Cup is drawn shortly before his demise. I know it's not exact. There's just something about it that reminds me of how Roach would draw the crusty old Autobot. And then there's this shot here, a bit of visual brutality, which seems like the sort of thing that I could see appearing in a book illustrated by Roach. The heavy use of ink reminds me of both Johnson and Roach, specifically Roach's work with Spotlight Cup. But these perceived similarities are just meant to be points of positive comparisons. There's no doubt that Corona's putting his own spin on these characters in this world, striking a nice balance between that smooth G1 cartoon aesthetic and some more detailed technological touches. And sure, I'll miss Johnson's art in Transformers, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to see more of what the new guy has to offer for the rest of this arc. He's got my attention, that's for sure. It's always impressive to me how different a book can feel with a change in artist despite being written by the same person. Not necessarily a bad thing. Here, I think it's a really good thing, and I'm ready to see more. Anyway, that's all from me on this one. What did you think about this issue? Some pretty major shakeups here, both in terms of the plot and the creative team. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you liked the video and the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. It's always appreciated, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.